Welcome everyone. So in this video today, I want to go over the basics of using strobes in the studio. I'm here with my friend Sophia. We're going to run you through all the things. You probably have a lot of questions about shutter speeds and power settings on strobes and apertures and the ISO in the camera and all of that. So first things first, let me introduce you to our strobe here. So this is an Elinchrom ELC 500. No, it's an Elinchrom 5 actually. The ELC 500 doesn't have a battery. This one is battery powered. So the way that it works is pretty simple. There is a modeling lamp that comes on. This just helps us, if I turn it on, this just helps us aim our lights, compose our shot, and it's not what we use to take the photo. What we use to take the photo is the flash. So that's how we're going to use it. On the back, I can control the power, and I can control the power in 10th stop increments. So if I go up to 6.3, that just means full power for this light on the Elinchrom scale, and 6.3 on this light corresponds to 500 watt seconds. That really doesn't matter so much. Just know that if I fire at 6.3, it's going to be really bright. I should have warned you. And if I fire at 5.3, it's going to be one stop less. So it's going to be less bright. So what that means is that if I were taking a photo at full power, and I was shooting that at f11, if I went to half power, then I would shoot at f8. And that's all. So that's just how it's going to work. Also, if I look at it, it's slightly bright, I'm going to turn it down. It's slightly dark, I'm going to turn it up. It's pretty simple. So the next thing is, how do we measure it? So we could, well, we don't really have to measure it, but how do we know where to set it? We could take a photo and we could see if it's too bright or too dark and turn our flash up or turn our flash down. And that would get us there, but that necessarily isn't the best way to do it, let's say. Probably what you might want to do is you might want to use a light meter. So I have a Sekonic L858 right here, and I'm going to turn it on. This one works with the Elinchrom system, meaning it has a radio transmitter inside that talks to the lights. So as long as I put it in the radio mode, and as long as I put it onto the same group as this light, which this light is in group 2 right now, and I take a photo, or I test the photo, it's going to tell me how bright it is. So right now it said it was f16 and 6/10. I'm actually going to lift it up here sort of into position where I might want it when we take the photo. And I'm going to test again. Okay, so it said f22 and 2/10. Well, I've decided that I actually want to shoot at f11. So that means I'm going to turn it down. So if I turn it down 2/10, that's f22, and I'll actually do it on the light. If I turn it down one stop, then that's f16. If I turn it down 2 stops, that's f11. Did I say f11? Let's go with that. Okay, so we're going to shoot at f11. If I measure it again, it's going to read f11, and now we should be good to go. So what happens is if I shoot at f11 or f16, a lot of stuff's in focus. If I shoot at 1.4, only she's in focus and the background is blurry. It's really that simple as well. But most of the time, our strobes are sharpest between 5, 6, and 8, and we get a nice amount of depth of field in a picture that has a lot of props and stuff at around f11. The texture of the background looks nice. So a lot of times I'll be shooting a scene like this at f11 or f8. But we're going to do f8 right now. So I'm going to go over to the camera and I'm going to go ahead and compose our shot, and we'll shoot a photo and see how it looks. And we've got nothing on here. It's just the bare bulb. All right, so what I forgot to talk about though was the ISO. So I'm going to shoot at ISO 100, and the reason why I'm doing that is because the lower the ISO I use, the less noise that I have. If I use higher ISO, then I'll end up with more noise, and I'll actually end up with less dynamic range. So just think of it that way. Low ISO gives you low noise, and it gives you high dynamic range. What that means is the amount of tonality that I can show between black and white. So if I have really bad dynamic range, then the dark tones in my shot may appear black, whereas if I have high dynamic range, they might have detail. So that's the difference. So low ISO, high dynamic range, high ISO, noise, and low dynamic range. So for the most part, I want to be at low ISO if I can, and that will give me the highest quality image. But if I have to go higher, I'm not going to worry about it too much, but if I can stay lower, it'll be better. Great. That's perfect. All right, so that looks a lot better now that we've corrected the exposure. You might have noticed that I was shooting at 1/200th of a second. You might be wondering why. Well, that shutter speed is what's referred to as your sync speed, or the sync speed for my camera. And the sync speed is the fastest that you can have your camera set in order for it to communicate with your flash and tell it to fire once and go off while your picture is being recorded. There is something else called high-speed sync, and what that does is it takes the total volume of flash of light that your flash is capable of producing and puts it into little pulses. We're not going to go into that. We're not going to deal with that. We're just going to talk about traditional flash right now, but you could look into that if you'd like to. So 1/200th of a second is the sync speed. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to shoot a series of photos for you, and I'm going to drop my shutter speed down until you start to see the video lights that are in the room have an effect on the photo. And you'll notice afterwards that the shutter speed that we're using for the most part in the studio doesn't really play a role in our exposures. All right, so now that I'm over here, I'm going to take the trigger off the camera and I'm going to take a photo at 1/200th of a second at f11 at ISO 100, and you'll see that it's completely blank. If I turn it down to, let's say, 1/60th of a second, it's also completely blank. If I go to 1/30th, it's completely blank. Now that logo from the light is on there, but that doesn't really matter. So the light in the room isn't having an effect on our shot. If I go down to 1/15th of a second, okay, yeah, it's starting to creep in there, but we're probably not going to shoot at 1/15th of a second. So all that really matters is that when we take our photo at 1/200th of a second, that brief pulse of light is going to overpower the light in the room just with our flash. And that's the only thing that's really having an effect on our exposure. All right, so now you see the photo. It's not that great. It's really harsh because we've just got the bare bulb. There's no modifier. Now, what is a modifier? A modifier is anything that you put on the light that modifies the light. So this is an 8.3 inch or 21 centimeter reflector. It can hold something called a grid, but we're not going to go over that in this video. I'm going to go ahead and put that on my light, and we're going to see what happens. And I'm just going to take a photo without measuring it, and we'll see how it looks. So as you can see, the photo is really blown out, and that's because reflectors like this are very efficient at collecting all the light and pushing it forward. So we've got to measure it again. So remember, we're shooting at ISO 100 and at f11, and I've got to get my meter out. I'm going to measure the brightness of the light, and that's going to tell me my exposure. So one more thing though, when you're using a light meter and you're in the studio, what you're doing is measuring how bright the light is so that you can tell the light to go up or down in order to get the exposure that you want. You don't just use the light meter, measure the light, read what it says, walk over to the camera and adjust the camera. You're going to make the creative decisions over there, and you're going to use the light meter over here to figure out how to make the light do what you need it to do. All right, so I'm going to measure this. Once again, I've got to be really close to her or else it'll give me an inaccurate reading. So it actually says f22. So f22 is 2 stops brighter than f11. So I've got to turn my light down 2 stops because I'm overexposed by 2 stops. So I went ahead and did that. Now some strobes, when you turn down the power, it still reserves a charge at the old power, and so you have to dump it. So what that means is you're just going to tell them to close your eyes and then push the button, and it will discharge that stored energy. It doesn't happen in all strobes, but it does happen in some, so that's something to look out for. Let's see what the photo looks like though on camera. All right, so now you can see that that photo looks a lot better and it's properly exposed. That's because we used the meter and that got us there. So now let's get rid of this reflector. I'm just going to take it off. I'm going to sit it down here on the floor. That way I won't forget, I won't leave it in the shot. I almost put it up here. I have an umbrella here. So an umbrella is the most common modifier that you might use. This one is 105 centimeters or 41 inches, I think. Anyway, it's about 3 feet. That's all that really matters. In order to use an umbrella, we're going to turn our light around 180 degrees, and we're going to put the umbrella in the umbrella hole. So we'll do that. Now the other thing that I had to do was I had to pitch the strobe so it was pointed upwards, so now the light will go into the umbrella, bounce around, and then fall back on Sophie. So let's go ahead and take a photo and see how it looks. All right, wow, that photo is really dim, and that's because it's going to be far less efficient bouncing the light around in the umbrella than using a reflector. So we've got to actually turn the power of the light up. So I'm going to meter again, and right now it meters at f4 and 5/10. But we want to shoot at f11, so that's 2.5 stops difference. So it was 2.5 stops underexposed. So I'm going to press this button 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. So these meters change the lights in 1/10 stop increments, and the lights themselves change in 1/10 stop increments. I'm going to go ahead and just press the button a bunch of times until I see the number on the back of the strobe go up 2 whole numbers, and that'll let me know that I'm probably in the right spot. Great. And you might have noticed that the brightness of the modeling lamp went up, possibly, although the video lights for our video right now might have made it so you couldn't see. But as you increase the modeling, as you increase the power, the modeling lamp can either be on full brightness all the time or some arbitrary number that you set it to, or it can increase its brightness as you increase the power of your flash. And that way you can sort of figure out how your strobes are relating to each other and get sort of a what you can see is what you get thing. That's the way I have my strobe set up right now. It's not going to affect our picture. I just wanted to let you know about that. So let me measure again. And it measures at f8 and 8/10. So I'm just going to turn it up 2/10. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I pushed the button too many times. Something like that. Now it measures at f11. Let's see what it looks like properly exposed, or at least after we've measured it here. All right, so now you've seen the basics of how Flash works in the studio and you're ready to get started. The most important thing you can do is practice, because practicing is the only way that you're going to get better. So to recap, you want to figure out, you want to use the lowest ISO that you can, because that's going to give you the highest quality, but don't stress if you have to go up. For the most part, when you're in the studio and there's not bright sunlight coming through the windows and really bright overhead lighting, your shutter speed is going to be irrelevant. The way that you check to make sure that it's irrelevant is just take a photo without flash at your settings that you're going to be using, and as long as you see nothing there for the most part, you're good. If you do see a lot of detail, just close the drapes. Turn off the overhead lighting. That's all you have to do. If you don't, you're going to end up with some color contamination and things aren't going to look that great. The other thing is, you don't want to do bare bulb like I have set up here right now. It's going to give you the harshest, worst kind of lighting. Well, you might do it for creative effect, but for the most part, you're not going to do it. So just use a modifier like an umbrella. I want to thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful day. Don't be afraid to try new things, because that's the only way you're going to grow and get better. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.